Hello, I am Clara, an AI assistant reading a script written by Dr. Benjamin. Today I will introduce a pioneering case, the first ever application of systems thinking in gifted education in South Korea. In Korea, gifted education is operated by local education offices under national education law. This program is unique for two reasons. First, systems thinking was applied for the first time within an official, law-based gifted program. In other words, it received formal institutional recognition. Second, the curriculum uses only one core concept, stock flow. It is an experimental systems thinking program with no causal loop diagrams. In systems thinking, causal loop diagram and stock flow models are often used together. Here, however, I intentionally designed the entire program using stock flow concept alone. Here is the overview. This program serves 15 selected students in grade 7, the first year of middle school in Korea. As mentioned, we approach system structures using the stock and flow concept visualized through the bathtub model for intuitive understanding. Once students master this basic concept, we expand their thinking skills by applying it to various topics. The curriculum is divided into two parts. Part 1 is the common curriculum, a 12-hour program where all students experience the bathtub model through games and narratives. Part 2 is the mentorship curriculum, a 24-hour intensive course for 5 selected students using Stella Architect software for advanced computer simulation. Let's look at Part 1, the common curriculum. The learning process is scaffolded in 3 steps. We start with a simple single structure, with one stock move to parallel structures, and finally explore multi-layered structures. This step-by-step approach allows students to naturally grasp the complexity of systems without feeling overwhelmed. In Session 1, we start with the bus game. By tracking passengers getting on and off, students intuitively understand stock and flow. Then in the emotional faucet activity, students visualize abstract emotions like happiness as a stock to analyze emotional changes. Finally, the mammoth extinction game introduces feedback loops, teaching students how probability and structure can lead to unintended consequences such as extinction. Session 2 focuses on parallel structures and time delay. In the rainforest game, students physically act out the roles of seeds, sprouts, saplings, and fully grown trees. They bodily experience the concept of delay, the natural law that growth takes time. We then connect this to biology with the energy drink simulation, analyzing how the body metabolizes caffeine. By seeing the same structure repeat across nature, health, and society, students experience learning transfer. They also experience sustainability as a real system, not just a slogan. The highlight of Part 1 is Session 3, Humanities Convergence. We use Shakespeare's Hamlet. While the model structure remains, the same teams debate and reach a consensus to determine the parameters for key variables. This means the same structure can lead to different behavior over time. This is where humanities meets engineering. Finally, students present stock and flow models on free topics. The goal isn't to find one right answer, but to train reasoning and democratic discussion. That is why I emphasize the consensus building. Now I will introduce Part 2, the mentorship curriculum. 5 volunteers, out of the 15, join an advanced course. It runs for 6 days, for a total of 24 hours. On day 1, students learn how to use the software. On day 2, they deepen stock and flow structure with a food chain model and learn why units matter. On day 3, they represent physical laws as stock and flow structures. On day 4, they do the same for mathematical concepts. On day 5, they compare diffusion in infectious disease and diffusion in new product adoption. On day 6, they practice policy decision-making through an infection simulation game and finish with final presentations. Day 1 is about gaining confidence and familiarity with the software. Students learn the installation and basic interface. Then they construct My World as a stock and flow diagram. They choose core stocks, connect flows, and expand the structure into multiple layers. We provide reference models, such as a population model and a basic physics model. Students imitate first, and then they create. The key is an early success experience. Students should feel that they can build a working model today. Day 2 deepens the bathtub model through a food chain system. Students start with a wolf and deer model, and then expand to wolf, deer, and grass. Here we introduce units. Units are not decoration. They test the logic of the model. The most important lesson is dimensional consistency. Students learn to check units for scientific accuracy. Finally, they learn how to generate a web link to share results. Modeling becomes a public artifact that others can review and give feedback on. On day 3, we structure physical laws. Physics often feels difficult because it is abstract. We visualize pendulum motion and wave motion using a bathtub structure. We explore pendulums, waves, and frequency. Instead of memorizing formulas first, students map the phenomenon into inflow, outflow, and accumulation. This perspective reveals why it changes, rather than just what the formula is. Day 4 is Math in Motion. We explore the difference between linear and nonlinear relationships. Students go beyond solving static equations on paper. They structure a parabolic function dynamically. They watch how the whole curve changes in real time when a single variable changes. The goal is to understand what structure generates the curve. When students connect graphs to structures, mathematics becomes a language of change, not isolated symbols. Day 5 connects science to society via diffusion models. We compare the spread of infectious diseases with product diffusion using the bathtub perspective. The epidemic model moves from susceptible to infected to recovered. Similarly, product diffusion moves from potential customers to adopters. Confirming this similar structure across different fields is critical. This is the moment of learning transfer. It leads to a powerful realization that one structure can explain everything from viruses to iPhones. Day 6 is the wrap-up. We use the infection simulation game for policy decision-making training. There is no single right answer. For example, a quarantine policy can reduce infections, but it can conflict with economic activity. Students face trade-offs, uncertainty, and public acceptance. These are real constraints policymakers must deal with. Through this experience, students learn to grow as system leaders who search for better decisions in complex reality. That concludes today's introduction. What do you think? If you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I'm very curious to hear your opinion. This has been Clara, assistant to Dr. Benjamin.